welcome back to Inspired or Acquired. This is the podcast where we talk real numbers, interview real business owners, and ask them whether or not they would sell their business. We're joined today by Casey McDaniel. He is the pest control guy on X, if you don't know him. Pretty amazing story of what he's built so far with his business. He's based out of Colorado, so we're excited to catch up with him today. I'm one of your co-hosts, Patrick Dichter from Apple Tree Business Services. And as always, I'm joined by Clint Fiore, co-host and founder of Dealonomy, our mergers and acquisitions specialist. So, Casey, how are you, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, we've got some time today. We'll spend 5 minutes on why pest control is the greatest industry in the world to own, and then I don't know what we're going to talk about for the rest of the show. But yeah. Anyways, I'm kidding, but it is one of those industries that everyone has, jealousy of and just FOMO of, what a great business is once you get it going. But for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about your business and what you guys do.
Yeah. The short and simple, we kill bugs. Nothing sexy about it at all. It's not for everyone. We've been around for about 4 years now, or three and a half years. We started in March of 2022. My cousin and I both started it together. We're 50-50. We started off doing door-to-door sales for some other companies. Before that, kind of were working for a company that we didn't feel we really aligned with well. We were pitching a high-quality service. They weren't providing a high-quality service. So we decided to come back home, start up our own thing. And we've been having a blast running it, figuring out how to run a business for the last 3.5 years now.
Awesome, man. So you're killing bugs. It's primarily residential, right? Like termites and mosquito spray, or what's kind of the bread and butter?
Yeah. So the general service that we do, about 90+% of our revenue comes from recurring quarterly services. We show up once a quarter, spray around the foundation, knock down cobwebs and wasp nests up on the eaves, treat the interior if needed. And generally we don't need to if we're doing a good job. Occasionally, check the yard, anthill, stuff like that, and then we're gone. So services last 20, 30 minutes usually every quarter. And that's where the bulk of it comes from. We recently started doing more termites and wildlife, which are kind of one-off services more often than not. And then we do a little bit of commercial, but it's mainly residential.
Nice. And how many guys knock on doors for you now?
Good question. It's kind of been up and down. We had a team that came out that promised a lot of big things and then fizzled out, and their whole team is gone. At the most this year, we had like 9 guys knocking. Right now, we've got 2, but we just we sent a contract to another door-to-door team this morning. One of our markets, we're going to get another team, probably 4 or 5 guys out there to finish off the summer. So pretty small team, but 4 or 5 guys can put on. They're hoping like 100 can revenue in 4 weeks, so nice. They can get after it pretty quick.
Okay, awesome.
How many total employees do you have, like techs and all that?
Yeah, we've got 8 technicians, 2 full-time office staff, and then my partner and I. So there's 12 of us total.
Okay, awesome. And Casey, I've been following you on Twitter forever. I met you in person a few years ago when you were just getting started, and just been a big fan of yours and seeing your growth and everything that's going on. I want to jump right into the numbers here and the valuation side, but first I would be remiss if I didn't say pest control has a special place in my heart. The very first deal I ever did was pest control, and it was also the record fastest deal I ever did. So that story goes like I just hung out my shingle as a newly minted business broker, and I asked Facebook if anybody needed help selling their business, and my friend Cody Goss in Kerrville, Texas said, yes, I'm moving to Tennessee and I need to sell my pest control company. I ended up valuing his company, and we went to market, and another social media friend I had, I think through LinkedIn, owned some small businesses. He wanted to get into pest control. He made us an offer, full ask offer, and we closed it without an SBA loan. And the entire thing, from like first meeting with Cody to closing with Mark, was under 90 days, and that was start to finish. And so like that was a super fast deal. And And I was like, it encouraged me as a new M&A advisor.
You're like, this is easy.
I was like, oh, this is going to be an easy job. Like this is great, because it's so funny. I didn't know how hard this industry was. My first deal went so fast and so smooth, but Mark owned the company for almost 10 years, and then he sold it this year and got life-changing money on his exit. And so it was just a pleasure being around that and seeing that company sell twice and seeing it change two people's lives for the better along the way, and move them to successful next chapters. And so I love pest control. I've done some other deals in the space, and it is a very interesting sector to do M&A in. But man, just talk me through your business in terms of, I'd love to just talk about, first off, what has the trend been for you? So I know you've been growing fast. You started just a few years ago, right?
Yeah. Last couple of years revenue, we started in March of 2022. That first 9 months, we did about 180K in revenue. Year 2, we did about 440. Year 3, we acquired a company halfway through the year, a smaller little company. We ended last year right at $1 million. And this year we'll probably come in just under 2 million.
Fantastic.
So roughly doubling every year, I guess, looking at the numbers.
Amazing growth rate. And then on that, so in the last 12 months, you said you were doing about $1.5 million, and you're on pace to probably hit 2 this year. But like on $1.5 million of revenue from the last 12 months, about how much of that do you think you make in EBITDA?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't actually look at EBITDA. I'm just looking, my mom is our accountant. When she says she's done with the month, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm just looking at the bottom, see what we netted. Yeah. So I had to go and throw some stuff back in. True net last year was like 450. And then EBITDA, adding back some stuff, we were just around 6 or so, between 5 and 6.
Okay.
And so that's with like you and your partner's salary included?
Yeah. We're on salary like 40K each.
60% SDE margins. That's beautiful. Hey guys, want to take a quick break from the show to thank one of our sponsors and tell you all about them. So Eversight is the company and our sponsor. They were actually a guest on the podcast, and they're somebody that I've used for digital marketing. A couple of things that I love about Eversight. Normally, if you go to design a website and have somebody really do it well, they're going to charge a big 10 to 20K upfront fee, and then you'll get charged hourly anytime there's updates. So Eversight totally flipped the model. They do a monthly subscription that covers great designs and unlimited updates. I use them for my website, and then they can also help with SEO, AdWords, and all your ongoing content needs. They're a great team. They're responsive. I believe in them. I know them. They're a guest on the podcast, so we don't take sponsorship lightly. And I'm a big fan. So I would definitely encourage you to check them out if you've been thinking about beefing up your digital marketing or possibly doing a new website. You can go to eversight.com/inspired and tell them that you found them on the podcast. And back to the show.
A side note, when you're valuing companies that have multiple owners, the way we approach it to get to like an adjusted EBITDA or an SDE is we'll take the pay, perks, and benefits of you and your partner and add them all back to the bottom line, but then we'll do a subtraction to replace one of you with a market salary. So let's just for simple math, if you're both making 40, and we'll add 80 to your earnings, but then we'll ask, okay, what would it take? Because I don't believe you could replace one of you for 40 probably on the open market. So you might just be taking minimal salary for IRS rules, but it might not be quite market. And so if that's maybe 80 or something that's more realistic for today's labor market, we'll add back your 240s, that's 80, but then we'll subtract 80, and then you're back to where you were on earnings. So we'll do stuff like that. So we don't have time in this show to do evaluation at that level or to really get in the weeds that much. Just wanted to share that conceptually. So for this conversation, we'll just say, we didn't account for that subtraction. an adjustment. So we'll say you're in the 500, 600 range currently, but you're growing very quickly. So, in my mind, Casey, like you're probably at minimum, pushing 2 million. I'd say like $1.5 million, 2 million of business value, enterprise value. But at the rate you're going, if you're able to keep this growth rate going, that can change dramatically in the next couple of years. So let me give you an example. First off, do you think that's realistic? Do you think you can keep up this growth rate for a few more years? Maybe not 100%, but
I don't think we can double. But what we're looking at with just reinvesting a lot of those profits back into growth, especially via door to door. We do think that we can add at least $1 million a year for the next few years. Hopefully get up to within the next 4 or 5 years, be in that $6 million revenue range for sure.
Yeah. Do you think at 6 million revenue, you'd be able to have a 2 million earnings type of company? You're able to keep your margin that high? I know it goes down a bit as you grow, but
I do think we could be right in that range. I was talking to another larger company. I think they operate in about 6 states or so. And he said each of his markets, they target 30% growth and 30% net margins. And that's at scale. So I do think that we could be for sure, 25, 30% margins at 6 million in revenue and have close to that 2 million in net.
Yeah. To put that in perspective, this market is very, I'm using the word bifurcated, because I feel like there is a bonanza of institutional players and strategics that are in private equity that are just snatching up pest control companies. If you build it right, where you've got those quarterly billings, those sticky recurring revenue, you've got that sales machine dialed in, and you can be a bolt-on to one of these bigger platforms, tremendous competition. There's not enough deals for as many people that want to buy, especially once you're above $1 million EBITDA. And so that means the multiples have just been driven up like crazy among the private equity and institutional players. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you're able to achieve that 6 million and you're pushing $1.5 million, 2 million of EBITDA in a few years, that you'd be in the 15 to 25 million range, like realistically, as long as it stays as hot as it is today. I think that's within the realm of possibility. And so this gets to kind of the core of this show and what it's all about. And this is like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that tension between building versus selling? When do you cash out? And I know a few people in pest control, but also in other spaces that are having a lot of roll-up pressure and a lot of private equity pressure right now. They live in that tension of, you don't know if that's going to last forever. You don't know if multiples are going to come back down to earth. And so maybe I should make hay while the sun's shining, or maybe I should get out. But I just want to give you a few minutes to process that. So let's pretend I could get you a check for 2 million today, or we could get you a check for, let's say, 15 million in a few years. Could I get you to bite on that today? Are you dead set on holding out for that bigger number, or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to be in here for 10 plus years and even the big number wouldn't tempt me? Like, how do you respond to those types of numbers?
Yeah. I'd have to turn down your 2 million, which sounds crazy. I'm 26, I'm in a great position. A lot of people would be like, hey, I would take that and live a good life. No, my cousin and I, when we started, we both kind of had our number, what we need to have to retire. And we're not private jet guys. We're not super luxurious. We're not into big sports cars. Our hometown has 900 people, more cows than people. We don't need a fancy life. So if we can get a few million post-tax, put that in something safe, have 6 figures coming in, well, that's when we'll retire. So 2 million, obviously split, and then taxes not going to be there. But as we do get hit up by private equity, just these cold emails and stuff, I've just been responding and I say, hey, we're for sale right now for between 10 and 12 million. We did 2 million in revenue. If you feel like you can structure that deal, let's set up a call. No bites.
No bites.
But, I'm letting them know that's kind of the range that we're looking for.
Yeah.
If we get a few more years from now and the growth is easy and we're really pumping and multiples are still really great, then yeah, maybe we'll hold on a little longer and push for a little bit bigger number. But kind of what we'd agreed on is kind of in that 8 to 12 million. So we can clear 3 to 5 a piece after taxes. And then that's kind of when we can be done. Truthfully, if I had that number today, I don't know what else I would do. I don't have much job experience. I did door-to-door sales and pest control, then I started a company. I have a degree in finance, but I've never worked there. I worked at McDonald's, was my last job before this. So when we cash out, it's going to be enough it has to be enough for us to retire if we choose to, because I don't really want to have to go and get another job doing something else.
Yeah, because if not, I mean, it's hard to, with your resume, it's like you went from McDonald's to pest control, and like, what else, who else is going to pay you $500,000? To work somewhere. And if you're able to, I mean, you'll be there pretty soon. If you're probably not taking home all that because you want to reinvest in your company, right, for growth, but you're not real far away from being able to have a company if you wanted to make it a lifestyle business where it's just like, you know what, let's take selling off the table. Let's just focus on our kids and family and put in a solid 20, 30 hours a week of oversight, but get really good people in place leading it. Let's, because these are never passive. I always say that on, just to dispel any misconceptions out here. If you're a small business owner, you're hands-on. But you can structure your small business to where it doesn't have to kill you. It doesn't have to be 50 hours a week, 80 hours a week. You don't have to be doing every job and wearing every hat if you really build good systems and processes. So yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is, yeah, you've created a nice multiple six-figure income level from this company. And that's probably your best bet with your skills and background in terms of income.
Yeah, and I'd say that's more so the wrestle that we have. We're not wrestling between should we sell or should we keep doing this, as much as we say, hey, should we really grow this and ramp it up, or should we just hire some managers, take a little bit of a pay cut, and then just relax? And obviously, still put in some work, but 20 hours a week, going down from what we're doing to 20 hours, I'd take that any day. So it looks really, really alluring. So that's more so the struggle. But I think for now, the plan is work hard a few more years. We're still young. We've got the energy. Our kids are super young. And then in a couple of years, once they're a little bit bigger, then we can really reevaluate and say, hey, is it time to sell this? Is it time to make it a lifestyle business, and make that decision then?
Hey guys, we want to take a quick break from the show just to tell you about our companies that make this happen. My name is Patrick Dichter and I own Apple Tree Business Services. We do accounting and tax nationwide. So if you own a small to medium-sized business, we'd love to help. And we can also do financial due diligence for any acquisitions. You can check us out at appletreebusiness.com.
And speaking of acquisitions, this is Clint, your co-host. My company is called Dealonomy. You can find us at dealonomy.com. We are on a mission to just make it 10 times easier to buy or sell a small business. If you're a buyer, you probably feel like finding a good business to buy is like searching for a needle in a haystack. We have created the Needle Store, where you can just go find a great business that's turnkey, ready to purchase, with banks ready to lend on it. Go find you a good one. Go buy it at dealonomy.com. And if you're a seller, we're the only place you can sell your business for no commission, with a fast, free, guaranteed result. And so it's very innovative, easy button for buying or selling a business. Hope you join us at dealonomy.com.
All right. Thanks for supporting us. Now back to the show.
So tell us about your family a little bit. You live in Colorado. You're married. You just had your first kid, right? In January?
Yeah. I grew up in a small town, Manassas, Colorado. We moved to Grand Junction. I did for school a few years ago. I met my wife here. We love it. We did a little stint in Salt Lake while she was pursuing her PhD, but then she got pregnant, and so she just got her master's and dropped out. We moved back here. So we've just been here a couple months, had our son in January, and not currently planning on another one right away. So it's just the three of us, just living life.
Awesome. And is your wife staying home with the kid, or is she going back to work, or what is she doing?
Yeah, for now she's just at home, just kind of seeing how things go, and just enjoying it. She wanted to get her PhD so she could teach at the university. But now that she's got some more limited options with just a master's degree. So we'll see if she wants to go back and win, and kind of what her options are then.
Cool. Well, congrats on the baby, man. And that's the best thing in the world, to have that young, beautiful family. And yeah, it's wonderful that you've built the business that's giving you that option to be, stay home with the kid as long as you want to, and let her have that freedom to choose whether or not, she wants to go back to that education track, or go back to the job, or be a homemaker. But yeah, there's something special, I think, about being an entrepreneur and being able to prioritize that family stuff. So really hats off to you for that.
Yeah, I tried to convince her right from the get-go. I was in college when we started the business. I was in my last semester. I was running track. Technically didn't have a job. We were just starting this. And I tried to convince her from the beginning to stay at home, but she just didn't trust it. So it took about 3.5 years. She finally sees the vision. It's working out. She's been tremendously supportive the whole time. And it's finally kind of snowballed to the point where she feels comfortable staying home and kind of can trust the plan a little bit.
Tell me about the partner dynamics. I'd love to get into that a little bit. Is he he's married with kids as well. He's young, few years older than you, right?
Yeah. So he's 32. He's got 3 kids. He had done the door-to-door. That's also the only experience he really has. We're both LDS, came home from our missions. He knocked doors for about 12 years. He got me into it in the last couple of years, before we started our own. So yeah, he's just, here in Grand Junction with us, 50-50 partners, have a lot in common, a lot of the same skill sets, but just enough to where we can balance each other out. There's still some gaps in our skill sets that I wish. Sometimes we think, hey, should we get a third partner to kind of, do some of these? And perhaps at some point we will. But yeah, for now it's just us two. Gives us a lot of flexibility, and it's been working out pretty well.
What skill sets do you feel like you're missing?
Well, I don't know really how to say it. Professionalism. I'm kind of a 26-year-old idiot, class clown. My little sisters will bring a boy home and they'll be like, I have to preface, there's something wrong with my brother. I'm just kind of the idiot of the family. And Kyle's more mature for sure, but I can get him going. So sometimes just not having really worked any corporate jobs, sometimes we got to really be careful with our, HR department that doesn't exist. Just legalities, on salary and overworking people and bonuses and taxes and stuff like that. So just more of the professional corporate, liability side. Sometimes we're like, hey, maybe we need someone here. We're both very good at sales. The operations has been good. We both have a degree in finance. So a lot of those overlap. And we can kind of, some checks and balances. Sometimes I say, hey, we should do this. And he's like, hey, those numbers don't work. So we can balance that out. But yeah, I'd say kind of the professional side is, as we grow, we'll definitely need to slide someone in there to balance that side.
I had a couple of things I was curious about as you were talking, like what's the annual average customer for you guys? Like what do they normally pay you a year?
Yeah, our average residential customer is paying around $550, like $135 a quarter or so. On those ones, we've got some upsells. Some of them are on mice, but yeah, right around $550 on average for a person.
Just a lot of customers to like go from 200 to 500K to $1 million. That's impressive. And I'm just thinking, I was just trying to think of like the other common door-to-door stuff is like security or solar, that has like a roofing that has like a much higher average ticket. Do you normally, what do you see allocated to commissions? Is it like okay, we think we'll keep this customer for 3 years. We can pay a third of like the, average customer to like incentivize a sales guy, or like what do most companies pay?
Yeah. Commissions are, again, all across the board, depending on who you hire, how you negotiate. Our LTV right now, we're in 3.5 years. Our cancel rate kind of projects that our LTV will be somewhere between 5 and 7 years. So pretty healthy. We're happy with that. If we recruit our own in-house door-to-door reps, we're going to start rookies around 32% commission generally. More veteran guys will get, 50 to 60%. You can also hire a marketing company, which we did this year, where you pretty much just communicate with one guy. He finds all the reps. They handle housing. They handle the whole thing. It's just basically subbed out. You don't even think about it as long as you can fulfill those sales. And those guys, depending on their brand, they're charging anywhere from 85 to 115% of the first year's contract.
Got it. I did door-to-door for 4 summers in college, and I was selling like educational books and software and stuff for school-age kids, but there were a lot of people that went on to sell security and insurance and solar and things like that. So you did an acquisition last year. How much revenue did you pick up from that acquisition?
Yeah, last year before we acquired them, they did about $440,000 in revenue.
Nice. And now that like the dust is settled, like good deal. Like, would you look for more of those, or how's it been for you?
Yeah, horribly stressful. Right after we took over, all of the employees quit. Except for one, and the only one that stayed was starting his own business and was actively soliciting our customers to start his own. So we found that out and had to fire him. So we started completely over. A lot of customers weren't super happy because we bought a mom and pop shop where they knew the owner really well. They were paying below market rates. So there was a lot of cons. But we've increased revenue $100K already in that location over the last 12 months. We've got A players across the board that we filled those spots with. We would definitely do it again. We found another very small company that we're in talks with in a similar area. So we would do it again, especially now that we've learned a lot. Because that was our first time. And there were some sleepless nights for sure. But overall, I'd say it's worked out well. We got a good deal on it. Not great, but pretty good. We're pretty happy with where we're sitting today.
And did you take out some bank financing for that, or?
Yeah, so we put down 0% SBA loan. The bank considered it an expansion. It was about 4 hours away. They counted it. We had a seller note that's on standby for 2 years that for 10% of the purchase price as well. So we got a 90% loan SBA on that one.
Nice. So even with all the challenges and sleepless nights and people leaving, you've increased the revenue from that deal, 100K.
Yeah. And those were some of the pros. The same cons were pros. They were undercharging people. So we can come through and just upsell some people and get them to kind of a normal ticket size. We did an increase on some of the lowest paying ones, and it went pretty well. Next year, we're going to do an increase on all the rest of them, which should bump up revenue, raise prices another 10%, give us another 50K in revenue, pretty easy. People are happy with the service. We upgraded a lot. We're doing a lot more. And so retention has been really good. And customers are leaving reviews saying it's the best service they've ever had. So I think overall they're happy, and we're just going to take some time to kind of get their prices up to market average. Got
it. And it's 4 hours away from your normal market?
Yeah. So we're in Grand Junction here. We bought that one in Colorado Springs. So depending on the weather, 4 or 5 hour drive to get down there.
Got it. Are you guys selling year round, or you just have people knock in the summer?
Just the summer. Most of the door-to-door sales is just seasonal. It's a lot of college kids in between semesters. Some of the, guys that graduate or drop out of college because they're making too good of money, they'll go from like March to September maybe. But most of them are very seasonal.
Got it. And how do you think about a big metro like Colorado Springs versus like Durango? Are you like, okay, this is a bigger market, it makes us a better acquisition target? Or are you like, no, we're, the big fish in the small pond in Durango, like let's double down here?
Yeah, no. So the cool thing about Grand Junction is,
I keep saying Durango,
you're good. We've looked at Durango. It is real small though. Grand Junction, we came in, there was about 6 competitors total. And we went to the top. We've got the most reviews. I think we're one of the bigger ones for sure. Very little competition. It's cheaper to run ads. It's just overall, like, acquisition cost is a lot cheaper. But we are starting to see that we're kind of running out of customers. There's only so much. Whereas Colorado Springs, the phones don't stop ringing. Costs a little more to make them ring, but seems endless. So we're kind of thinking, do we want to be a big fish in a small pond, or do we want to keep cash flowing a little bit and then push into Denver where opportunities will explode? And there's more competition. So we're kind of playing it out in Springs and seeing, if we want to start in Durango next in a smaller market, or if we want to push into Denver and explore the bigger market.
I would have to ask, there's so many people that have trouble with a 50-50 partnership. In fact, that's one of the things some gurus say is, like, never do a 50-50 partnership, because, sometimes it causes issues if down the road you feel like I'm doing all the work, or, or how do you break a tie, or, just can you talk us through just how that's been with having a 50-50 partner, and has it gone well for you? And you feel like you guys have been kind of equally yoked or pulling your weight in the same type of way? Like, how have you handled that?
Yeah. Most days have been pretty smooth. Obviously, there's some days where we're butting heads and we're both 50-50. I would say I'm a little bit more aggressive. My partner is a little bit more laid back. At one point, we did say, hey, I'm bad cop, he's good cop. So if someone's got to come down and fire people or do any of that, I'm happy to do it, because I'm just naturally a little more aggressive. That also leads to our decision making. If we're both kind of 50-50 on something, usually he's pretty good at just say, hey, I trust you, and what I say goes. So that has been nice for me. It's also more pressure being the younger guy, less experienced, to kind of call more of the shots. But then as far as work, we split it up pretty well. We've got our offices here. We come down every day. We know we're both here. I'm here today helping out more in the office. He's out spraying. But yeah, there's good days and bad days. Overall, though, he's a family member. We're very, very similar. So it has gone well. I know a lot of times it doesn't. So we've been pretty lucky.
And are you both, I mean, you alluded to it earlier, but are you both kind of on the same page with the when to sell decision? And is it kind of the same framework for him as, like, when we could sell and invest the proceeds to still be making similar money and not have to work and be able to retire, like, then we would consider it, but until then, no? And, like, so do you think, like, it'll be hard or easy to come to agreement when that day inevitably comes? Because it's coming. If you keep this growth going, like someday that day will come. Do you anticipate that being an issue between you, or you think you're pretty aligned?
I think we're pretty aligned. Now, when that day comes, maybe one of us is not quite feeling it. We do have an operating agreement where if one of us wants out, the other can buy him out at a at a valuation we already agree on. So I don't think that it should be too big of an issue. But for the most part, everything we've talked about, in my head, we're aligned. I guess we'll see what happens when the day comes. But I am a bit more of the numbers guy. So again, I think when I kind of tell them, hey, this is what the numbers are showing, I think we can kind of get out of this and be where we want to be. I think he'll say, hey, I'm game. Let's do it. Let's take this to the market. So I think we're pretty aligned. But things can change. We're still probably, we say 5 to 7 years out. I guess the numbers will tell us how far away we are.
Yeah. That's great. I wanted to ask, sometimes you'll tweet about, like, just kind of living frugally and within your means. And a lot of times in these sales cultures, the culture is like ball out, do the steak dinner, look rich on Instagram, like, do you have that type of sales culture where you're, like, throwing cash around, or, like, do you have a lot of other employees that are kind of, let's buy the starter home and fix it up kind of thing?
Yeah. So our sales culture, unfortunately, still is kind of that way. A lot of incentives. Hey, first sale of the day gets X amount. Hey, if you get X amount of sales this week, you get this, pair of Jordans, whatever. We do have to dangle a lot of carrots out there because it is a mentally and physically taxing job. And then for the rest of our company, we treat our employees pretty good. We pay above market. We just got everybody gifts today for kind of end of the busy season gifts, a backpack, a big nice Yeti, some electrolytes, all that sort of stuff. So we do throw it around a little bit more than I know some corporate jobs and stuff will. But then in our private lives, we are very frugal. We both live in very small, 1,000 square foot homes, doing some remodeling on them. We each own a couple homes. We each have two. We're renting those out, trying to build a little bit of real estate. But no, in our personal lives, we don't drive sports cars. We don't go on big flashy vacations and throw that around on Instagram. Which, if it works as a recruiting tool, great. But that's not really who I am. So no, we're very frugal in our personal lives. In the business, we do swipe the business card a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more liberally.
I mean, I always enjoyed like the sales contests and the cultures, but it was always like just interesting dynamic. Like when I was a sales manager in a past life, like people would come do shadow day and I had the like most beat up car, and they're like, it's pretty funny. I want to ask about one other thing. You have this training program or like business in box where other people can fly in and you'll teach them how to knock doors and essentially launch a pest control business, right? Has anyone else like taking you up on that and like gotten going?
Yeah, we've had about 24 people by that. The first one that did last spring, they successfully launched a company out east in the Carolinas. They've got at least, I haven't checked with them in a little bit. Last I checked, they had one technician full-time. He was pretty busy, general pest and termite. Another company out in the Midwest started up. They got lucky, landed like $100,000 contract right off the bat, which just kind of got the ball rolling. So I know that they're doing pretty well. Some guys have bought it and then I've never heard from them again. They just pay the money and dip. So it's been all over the board, but the ones that have bought it, committed, found someone, gotten licensed, done that, they're up and rolling. So it's been pretty cool to watch some guys in different states do it.
Give us your top 1 or 2 tips for knocking doors and making sales.
Number one is just hard work. Nobody likes to hear it, but the top reps that I've been around, they just put in more hours. They get up early, they're first one on the doors, and then they're knocking until dark or even after dark a little bit. It's not necessarily just some smooth sales pitch. It's just grinding, finding everybody you can. The other thing after that is just committing to your craft. Those top dogs, they're not going in with the attitude like, okay, I'll knock doors this summer and see how it goes. They come in their rookie year and they're like, hey, what do I need to read? Tony Robbins, David Goggins, whatever, Lenny Gray, give me all the books. I want to shadow you. I want to figure it out. And after every single door, if they got the sale, they're thinking, cool, what went right there? How can I repeat that? And if I didn't get it, hey, where did I lose them? I felt like I should have had it. What's going wrong here? And they're meticulous and they get better and better every day. The bottom performing reps are just like, he's doing pest control. Hopefully 1 or 2 people sign up today. So it's just the attitude on wanting to be the very best or just trying to make a few bucks in between semesters.
Yeah, I love that.
And to be totally clear and transparent, I was never the best sales rep.
Yeah.
I didn't really start committing to the craft until we had started our own company. The first 2 years I went and knocked, and I was a little lazier. Naturally, I was more talented than some of the other guys, so I was towards the top of the leaderboard as far as rookies go. But my top year, I sold 317 accounts. In a lot of organizations, that's not even going to be in the top 50%. So I talk about door to door, but I'm pretty transparent. I'm not the greatest to ever do it.
Got it. That was kind of me. Like I drank the Kool-Aid on like the time thing, as you said, like putting the time, like we would knock from 8 a.m. to 9:30 at night, Monday through Saturday. And I was like super diligent with the time, but I was never the guy that was like top dog early on. But yeah, you get better and get the reps, but great pointers there. Yeah, this has been awesome just to hear how quickly you've built and, the momentum that you have and just being able to diversify and buy real estate along the way. Super impressive. So, Glenn, do you have?
Yeah, I mean, from the inspired or acquired perspective, I mean, I think it's safe to say he's in the inspired boat right now. So he's got a clear vision of what he's building for and why is he building. And I just really appreciate someone that's as young as you at 26 years old that has such a clear vision of what you're trying to create and why. And yeah, I think that's going to make it easier for you to get acquired when you're ready. I've always said this before, but like our younger generations in this country are just built different than the boomers and older generations. I think there's, Casey's been in pest control as a salesman and now as a business owner, but I think he's serious when he says, yeah, if I could sell it and retire when the numbers are right, I would do that. Whereas older generations, they have a harder time and unenmeshing themselves from their identity wrapped up in the business. And I just get the sense, Casey, with you, it's like, you know what? It's been a great industry and it's been good for me and it's been great for my family, but it's a means to an end and it's killing bugs and it is what it is, but it doesn't mean that's not all that I am. And it's not, and I just get that sense from you and that like you could happily do other things and on the other side of an acquisition. Whereas I think a lot of older generation, they just feel like, man, I would be nothing if I didn't have my industry or if I, and so it's just kind of neat to see how you think about that and how you're clear-headed about that. Is that fair, about your attitude?
Yeah, 100%. It's a means to an end. Yeah. We all have to work. I'm a hard worker. I don't have any problem with hard work and I respect hard workers. But as soon as I can be done, I will be. I'm young enough to where I've seen Saela, I think it took him 12 years to probably get to a 9-figure valuation. Fox sold a few years ago for similar. I think it took them 14 years. Aptiv has only been around 15, 20 years, and they just sold part of it to a private equity at close to $1 billion valuation, is the rumors. So like, yeah, if I worked for another 20, 30, 40 years, we could for sure hit 8, maybe even 9 figures valuation. The hell am I going to do with all that money? I don't need that. That's not who I am. I'm more of a family guy. I want to get to that point and then relax and have all the time in the world to spend with family and do those sorts of things. So inspired for now, but I'll happily be acquired if you know anyone ready to put down about 8 figures.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we'll just keep us updated on the numbers, man. It's a matter of time before those lines cross, and that'll happen for you. So super honored to call you a friend and to know you, and just thank you for sharing your numbers and your philosophy so openly and honestly with us. Appreciate your time today. Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
It's been great having you on. So if people want to connect with you online, where's the best place to do that? On X? Or?
X, pest control guy. That's the best place. Hit me up. I'm pretty good at responding to the DMs.
All right. We'll link to that in show notes. So good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.